Deciding when to claim Social Security benefits is an important decision that impacts the rest of your life. In this video, I'll go over some essential information to help you make the right decision. We'll start by exploring different ways to think about the break-even point. Then I'll highlight the key factors that will help you customize this decision to match your unique circumstances. So let's kick things off by going over to the big screen and reviewing a few graphs. Okay, so here we are at the big screen, and what we're looking at is what's called the break-even point. In all of these examples, we're going to consider somebody that was born in 1960 or after. So they're approaching retirement and they're trying to decide when they should start claiming Social Security. Now, the person that we're going to take a look at is the person that at age 67, that would be full retirement age for that person, they would receive $3,000 per month. If they chose to take it early at age 62, and that's the earliest you can claim Social Security, you would get a 30% reduction in your paycheck. So they would only get to claim $2,100 a month if they chose to start claiming it at age 62. Now, this person does receive a lot more per month, but they're going to get a lot fewer checks. In fact, this person received 60 checks before this person ever even got their first one. And therefore, we have what's called the break-even point, because this person collected $126,000 from the Social Security Administration before this person ever even started. So it takes a little while for this person to catch up, and that's what we call the break-even point, where they both collected the exact same amount of money. And that point would be at age 78 years and 8 months. Okay, so it takes a little while for this person to catch up, but if you live beyond this, then you've collected, this would be the better choice as far as total receipts, okay, that we would receive. Now, as far as predicting how long we'll live, that's an unknown, of course, but according to life expectancy tables from the Social Security Administration, if somebody has made it to the age of 62, then a male is projected to live to age 81, and a female is projected to live to age 84. That would be the average, of course. Now, let's go to the next chart, because this one is comparing if this person chose to claim it at age 62 as opposed to wait all the way to 70, beyond full retirement age. So we knew that we would have gotten $3,000 a month at full retirement age. If we wait beyond that, we get an 8% bump every year. So at age 70, this is what they would receive. That's a huge difference, okay? But notice it does push the break-even point out even further to 80 years and 5 months, because now this person, even though they're claiming much less per month, they received over $200,000 before this person ever even got their first check. Okay, so here's the break-even point. If we think we're going to live beyond that, this is definitely the better choice as far as total receipts that we collect. Now, one other thing to mention, we're not considering inflation here. However, we are also not considering the COLA adjustment, which just stands for cost of living adjustment that the Social Security Administration bumps Social Security benefits every year. Okay, so the COLA adjustment is kind of meant to balance out with inflation. So those two things kind of balance each other out. We'll say they're a wash, and we'll just not consider those for our calculations. Now, let's go to the next graph. Okay, now we're comparing somebody that chose at 65. Okay, remember their full retirement benefit was $3,000 at age 67. So we knew there was a 30% reduction at age 62, but every year it goes down a little bit too. So here's what they would have gotten at age 65. Okay, that makes our break-even point just slightly over 80 years of age. Now, here we're comparing full retirement age to somebody that waited all the way to 70. Okay? Notice that it actually pushes the break-even point out just a little bit further to 82 and a half years of age. Okay? Notice that's a little bit longer than the life expectancy of a male. Okay? And now the really important graph. Let's say somebody had some retirement funds of their own portfolio. Okay? if they are in retirement and they choose to wait for Social Security, that means they're going to have to use their own money to cover expenses. However, if they claim Social Security, that means they can use that Social Security check to cover some of their daily expenses, which allows their own portfolio to remain invested, or more of it at least, and then that can continue to grow. So this is assuming that we are taking that $2,100 at age 62 and using that for daily expenses, allowing $2,100 a month of our own money to remain invested, and we're only considering a modest rate of return of 5.5% on our portfolio. If we consider the time value of money or our own portfolio invested at 5.5% rate of return, that pushes this break-even point out all the way to 91.5 years approximately. Because as we start collecting at age 62, we get to keep more of our own money invested. Now, so if we factor in the time value of money, our break-even point now is far beyond our life expectancy. One other thing to consider. All right, now, the graphs we just covered are a great starting point, and you can always go back and review them when needed. But the break-even points are just the beginning of the discussion. When it comes to making the best decision for yourself, there are a few other factors that you need to consider. And if you're married, there's an added layer of complexity that enters the picture. So here's some important factors to keep in mind. First, if someone hasn't been able to save enough for retirement and they're still able to work, postponing Social Security until your full retirement age might be the wiser move. Continuing to work will yield more income than Social Security will, and waiting to claim will also increase your benefits. This approach holds particularly true if Social Security is going to be your primary source of income, and it's especially effective if you're in good health and you still have the option to work. On the other hand, if you got a solid retirement fund saved up, claiming benefits at 62 might be the smarter move. This would allow you to use less of your own money for expenses, allowing more of your own portfolio to remain invested and grow. As we saw in the earlier graphs, this pushes the break-even point out much further than life expectancy. If you wait until later to claim while you're already retired, it will force you to use your own personal stash, and then that won't last as long. And remember that if you have a portfolio, that can be passed down to loved ones. But if you pass away before hitting the break-even point, Uncle Sam keeps all of what you might have received. This introduces an additional risk to consider. And now the big one. For couples, a spouse can opt for either their own benefit or half of their partner's, whichever amount is greater. This choice can be a very significant one if a partner has earned much less throughout their life. Here's one strategy you might consider. The lower earning spouse might opt to claim early, while the higher earner holds off, and then they can later switch to claiming half of the higher earner's amount. In the event of a spouse's passing, the surviving spouse receives the higher of the two benefits for the rest of their life. And if the higher earner passes away before claiming at full retirement, the lower earner's 50% is still based on the full retirement amount of the higher earner. Naturally, the health of each spouse plays a crucial role in all of these decisions. Then there's Congress, which holds the power to modify Social Security benefit at their discretion, and believe me, changes will indeed occur. Currently, the Social Security Trust surplus is dwindling, and if adjustments are not made, 23% cut is going to hit everybody in 2033. For an in-depth look at what is causing this and what's on the horizon, check out my video covering the truth about Social Security. I'll provide the link to that in the description below. And keep in mind, once we hit 62, the life expectancy is 81 for males and 84 for females. However, these are just averages. Factors such as your current health, your habits, and any challenging family history could tilt the odds significantly. We also want to remember that Social Security is subject to federal income tax and is currently taxed in 12 states, depending on your overall income. As you can see, there's quite a bit to consider here. It's not as simple as waiting until you're older for larger checks. This decision might weigh on you a bit, and fitting all of these puzzle pieces together isn't a walk in the park. The strategies for maximizing benefits can get complex, so seeking guidance from those well-versed in these matters can help guide you towards a choice that aligns with your circumstances. But remember, there is no perfect choice, and there are many unknowns. Each path has its own set of trade-offs and risks. But I do hope this video has helped shed some light on the topic. Thank you for watching.